刚开始创业的店面只是一个咖喱玛店面嘛，当时为了要省吃俭用，偶尔3餐只吃普通的一般白饭配咖喱汁，或者是罗迪加奶。那时候销量是相当几十块，因为创业可以打造自身的品牌，尤其是在沙捞越啦。让我们的沙捞越的人跟沙捞越骄傲。
Sarawak, home to nearly 2.5 million ethnically and culturally diverse people, is the third largest contributor to Malaysia's economy, thanks to its abundant natural resources and thriving ecosystem. But down on the home front, local businesses have been making their own marks in the community over the years. In this series, we meet some of the most innovative and aspiring Sarawakins to find out why they do what they do and how they do it. In our final episode, we take you to meet the people behind one of the fastest growing food companies in Sarawak. In recent years, they have become known as the go-to place for waffles, and they can be found in every major mall. But the successful business today has a humble beginning, started by John Chai, who left home for Singapore to work in a factory.
在学生时代，因为家庭比较平凡，因为要补贴家用嘛，所以就没有继续升学，只有读到中学 SPM 啦，所以就选择在国外打工。当时在新加坡呢，我们开始是做厂工啦。当时的环境是相当不简单，工作的时间也十分长，时间是从下午3点，一天是做16个小时啦，就是从3点呢做到凌晨的7点。当时为了要省吃俭用，偶尔3餐只吃普通的一般白饭配咖喱汁，或者是罗迪加奶。
But Mr. Chai had a dream. He wanted to start his own business. So after 6 years in the island state, he decided to return home to pursue it.
创业其实是我从小的一个愿望啦，因为创业可以打造自身的品牌，尤其是在沙捞越啦，更需要有自身沙捞越的产品和品牌。在2001年的时候呢，我们决定回家乡创业。
Mr. Chai's business idea was to sell waffles, his comfort food, when he was a factory worker in Singapore.
当时的资金我们也省吃省用，筹备了几千块，也终于在2002年成功成立我们第一家waffle饭档口。刚开始创业的店面只是一个咖喱玛店面嘛，所以当时的只是很简单的一个开始创业了。
Despite his effort to introduce the then new flavors like vanilla and caramel, the unfamiliar taste did not appeal to the local consumers, resulting in low sales.
那时候吃waffle是没有那么 hot， 那时候销量是相当几十块啊。相当失落的情况下，持续了好几个月啦。当时还是勇敢的踏出第一步而去改进啦。
Mr. Chai and his wife spent another year developing the recipe and cooking technique to achieve the waffles crusty outside and soft inside, and also introduce local flavors like pandan kaya.
所以很庆幸下呢，在经过新的一轮调整、再调整之后呢，能够让本地人能够接受这个口感。
Today, they have ventured into other food products. The ingredients they use are premixes, which they produce at their own factory in Penrison Road. When we return from the break, we'll go behind the scenes to see how they do it. We visit Magic Bike's production plant at Penrison Road. It is here they produce the premixes for their waffles and other food products. The idea to manufacture their own ingredients started from a supply shortage years ago.
就是因为面对这些供应链的短缺啦，所以公司决定做新的一个自身品牌的产品和 production 啦，所以当时我们认为是时候我们要创造自身的品牌跟我们公司的产品。
Their company aims to promote Sarawak by infusing its unique laksa and gula apong flavors into their products.
我们公司也一直在努力，把这些产品做得更好，把我们沙捞越的产品做到世界，让我们的沙捞越的人跟沙捞越骄傲。
From a stall at the 5 Foot Way managed by him and his wife, the business has transformed into a company of over 80 staff members after 20 years.
我们公司从创业到现在啦，有一些员工，就比如我一位员工就是 Josephine， 他在我公司已经做了17年了，这位也是我们相当棒的员工，也是我们公司的爱将啦，也是我们的公司员工的标杆。
Saya Josephine anak Tony, saya berasal dari Bau, Kampung Grogol. Kami kerja kat situ dah 17 tahun dah. Kami ulang-alik dari Bau ke situ dalam masa 40 minit macam ya untuk sampai ke tempat kerja tu.
Max Chai, Mr. Chai's 20-year-old son, grew up witnessing the tireless efforts of his parents, which inspired him to follow in their footsteps once he completes his studies.
The most thing that my parents keep reminding me will be responsible. So for me, I will think that be responsible to my family, to myself. I look at them like they're working for so hard, so that's make me want to like more hardworking, so they can be more free in the future.
也相当说鼓励新的一代年轻人继续努力然后多推广我们沙捞越的产品到国外啦。
The company today has outlets across Sarawak and beyond, and has exported its products to Brunei, Indonesia, and Singapore. In today's fast-paced society, the key to meeting the increasing demand of consumers in the food and beverage industry is automation and speed. But certain food takes patience and a more deliberate process to create. We come to Kuala Lumpur to meet a Sarawakian lady who is making her mark in the city as an emerging sourdough baker. Meet Molly, who is originally from Syrian town.
I'm Molly, you can call me Molly. Yeah, I'm from Syrian, Sarawak, and I have my own bakery here in Bangsa South, KL. I think I'm the only Dayak baker here, so I named my bakery Bidayu Baker because I myself a Bidayu, and I'm proud to be Bidayu.
After almost a decade in Europe, she relocated to the capital of Malaysia. Molly also has a humble beginning. She grew up in a low-income family.
My dad asked me to stop studying at the age of 17 because, for the reason we were too poor, and I have some other siblings who still studying, and then I have to help him to go to work and pay for my siblings' study. I even pay for my youngest brother university. During that time, we were so poor and we couldn't even afford to buy a loaf of white cheap bread. We can only buy like once a month. Even then, sometimes my parents hesitate to spend that RM1 for a loaf of bread.
A decade in Germany has changed her taste palette, and she found herself falling in love with sourdough bread. She was also looking for a healthier alternative to white rice. Molly decided to bake her own bread because she couldn't find good and healthy bread in Malaysia.
When I lived there for a couple of years, my taste palette changed, and I only appreciate good bread and good croissant, of course. When I came back to Malaysia, I struggled to look for good bread and struggled to look for good quality croissant. So I make
Sourdough bread is a unique type of bread made using natural fermentation. relying on wild yeast instead of commercial yeast typically found in other breads, with only two key ingredients, flour and water. It became popular in Malaysia during the pandemic lockdown, when people attempted to make it at home. It also appeals to the health-conscious people, as sourdough bread is nutritious and has prebiotic benefits. Molly started home base in 2020 during the pandemic. Today, she bakes at her new wholesale bakery at the commercial lot of Panorama Condominium in Bangsa.
This is my office, small area here. My favorite area where I do all the administrative job, which is seldom actually because I don't have much time. I'm normally baking. So yeah, because I work as a secretary before for 19 years. Yeah, so I love everything to be well organized. This is our dishwasher. Yeah, anything which is oily, which is full with debris will be rinsed in the sink first and then will be pushed inside. This consumes a lot of electricity, but it saves a lot of water. So these are all the mixer around me, small, bigger. But the most powerful mixer actually looks small. It's this one, this two. This is made in Italy. It costs about 10,000. So I have two of them. I'm very proud to have this. Store my flour inside here. This is my most precious flour, the high protein Oro Manitoba from Italy. I use 100% of this flour to make my so-called classic sourdough. My classic sourdough is 24 ringgit per loaf, and it's using this high protein flour only. I'm going to show you something. This is very important to me. Other than my liquid sourdough starter, this is also important for me. This is very impressive because I just fed it last night. So I fed it at, I wrote here, 9:30 p.m. This is the ratio I fed 1 by 1.1 and by 0.4, the hydration. Yeah. So it was small, it was the same level as the bowl, like this actually. So now it grows like slightly more than double size. It's amazing, look at that. It's amazing. I'm impressed actually when I saw this the first time today. So powerful. This is called pasta madre, and we use this to make sourdough loaf. But I use this particularly to learn to make panettone. Panettone is a king of bread, and I just learned making it last few months, sometime on December for Christmas, and I'm new to it, so there's a lot of things I still need to learn. Yes, this is the one I told you. This is 70 years old, and I got it from my seafood, my master baker, the great wizard, Mr. Alberto Bernardi from Italy. Thank you so much, Jeff.
When we come back from the break, Molly will be demonstrating some of the sourdough making process. We are in Kuala Lumpur to pay a special visit to Molly, a Sarawakin who founded Bidayu Baker in Bangsa South. Molly shows us some of the processes of sourdough making, the stretch and fold. Stretching and folding the dough creates gluten that makes it firm.
This is stretch and fold, but this is already stretch and fold number 4. So the dough is more firm. You see a lot of air bubbles, and it's very stable now. So after 1 or 2 folds, probably we can just put it in a Benetton basket. This is our classic sourdough, yeah. See, it's really strong. This is high hydration. It's about 82% hydration. Look at the air bubbles.
The process is repeated every 40 to 60 minutes for an average of 4 times. Depending on the atmospheric temperature, the hydration of the dough, and the type of flour used. Originally, sourdough bread, as the name suggests, has a sour taste due to the lactic acid from the natural fermentation. But locals are not fond to the sourness.
My first sourdough was also super sour. But then over the time, I learned how to control the sourness by controlling the feeding of the starter and controlling the length of fermentation of the dough later. It takes years to learn.
An artisanal baker is a highly appreciated profession in most European countries. But locally, people's understanding of what a baker does is still low.
They say something like, "What are you so busy about? It's just baking." I think my personal opinion is this kind of people are just having, very low level of exposure. But they are mostly my own people, my relative. Being a sourdough baker, there's a lot of calculation involved. Yes, every day. So let's say if I receive an order or orders for the whole week, I will plan, get organized. I will prepare a calculation, something like this, yeah. There is no fixed recipe like cakes or cookies, I mean, I baked cake before. I baked cookies before. I baked almost everything, even the French pastry, because I'm from pastry school. But it's nothing like bread.
The stretched and folded doughs are put in a Benetton rattan baskets, where they will rest overnight in the fridge before baking the next day. Sarawak boasts a rich gastronomic culture, abundant in both wild and indigenous agriculture produce. Bread connoisseur like Molly aspires to incorporate local ingredients into her baking, inspired by the region's unique flavors and culinary traditions.
Okay, this is Bidayu red rice. Yeah, I got it from the village near my village, not exactly my village, but nearby my village, somewhere in Syrian. Just bought it from them, the villagers. And this is the one that I grind and then I sift. And to make my first gluten-free sourdough starter. It's belong to one of the Bidayu village in Syrian. We have so many kinds of rice. We have what we call as the halam rice, yeah. For example, the halam rice is Adan rice and Bajong rice, which is in Sri Aman or somewhere in Lundu. And there are so many kind of rice in Syrian also by the Bidayu.
Molly hopes to empower her community and inspire them to try new things. She believes baking can bring people together.
Because I think, like me, I love baking. When I bake, I feel therapeutic. Yeah, I feel relaxing. So if I can bring all the community to enjoy these activities, I think it works. It can bring people together to learn and share their passion for baking.
Our series takes us on a journey to meet some of the most creative and aspiring Sarawakins, to learn about their motivations and methods. Our quest for answers has taken us to the northern state of Borneo, Sabah, where we discovered Kunaks Memporok chili, a type of chili germinated by the bulbul birds that gives it a unique taste, and the large corporation that brings it to the international market. We also traveled to Bakalalan, a loam bawang settlement 900 meters above sea level, to discover Sarawak's heirloom rice variety, and speak with the farmers whose dedication to their ancestral rice planting method has continued on for centuries. In Kuching, we met a woman who restarted her career after the end of her marriage, and through her lens, we gained an insight into one of Sarawak's most prized delicacies, the bird's nest. From the stories of several generational family businesses, we learned that success often follows a path paved with failures. It is through perseverance that one can break through. It is this unwavering determination that has enabled them to become some of Sarawak's most prominent icons. Finally, we wrap out our journey with a visit to Kuala Lumpur to meet Molly, a Sarawakian artisanal baker who is making a name for herself in the metropolitan. What we discovered throughout our journey was that the people we met were driven by honesty and purpose. Monetary gains alone cannot sustain one's drive. It is the sense of commitment to home and the betterment of their communities that keep them going.